2903, 8 out of 9. India number 4, world number 81, 2659 live elo. These are the statistics of Arjun Erigaisi at the Tata Steel Challengers. This guy is simply on fire. And the way he won this ninth game against Zhu Jiner is amazing. So let's have a look at this game. Also, the fact that Arjun was black, and I thought, once you're playing really well, players will try to be more careful with you with white and you can't keep winning. But there's another thing that when you're playing well, you're so confident and that flow is with you that you are able to then find your chances. That confidence is there. The opponent is a little bit intimidated. So Zhu Jiner is, by the way, one of the most talented Chinese young female players, and she opens the game with 1 e4. Arjun goes e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, the Ruy Lopez a6, bishop a4. So I was expecting, like, what will Arjun do here? He'll go knight f6 and he'll play the normal chess. Ruy Lopez is considered to be a solid opening and black usually tries to equalize out of the opening. Bishop c5, smart opening preparation has been one of the key things with Arjun in this tournament, and I definitely think that he and Srinath both working together is really working well here. So now c3, and one of the main moves here is b5, but knight g7 is the line that is getting very popular. I just want to show you one interesting point here. Suppose you play b5, he goes bishop b3, and now you put your knight on f6. It's important because if you play your knight to e7 now with the bishop on b3, this is a huge improvement because the bishop is now looking here and white goes knight to g5. Powerful strike, and after you castle, it's over. White to play queen h5, f7 under pressure, h7 under pressure, you can resign the game. Okay, so you don't put your knight here, but after this, if you play knight f6, now why I want to show this point is because after d4, very good move, ed, white to play, what do you do here? Try to think. So if you, by the way, take here, this is not a good move because I have bishop b4 check, black is doing okay. But here the move is e5. And this shows that the knight on on f6 is not well placed. It is hit here and white is better in these positions. Because next move I'm taking here, hitting a bishop. But compare it to knight g7 here, and you will see that now knight g5 is not really a threat because bishop is not here. And even d4 after takes does not run into e5 because there is no knight on f6. So this is the way in which you can remember this opening, that you first put your bishop on c5, don't play b5 to provoke the bishop on a good square here, and then you can bring your knight to e7. She took, bishop b4 check, bishop d2, you take, queen takes, so that later on the knight can develop on c3. d5, very important move, fighting back in the center. And here if e5, bishop g4, black is doing very well in such positions. You can castle, and there's a game of Maksudlu and Chonka here, but black gets a comfortable position. So the right move here is to take. Now this is the moment where you have a fork in the road. Knight takes d5 is what Jordan Van Forest actually played with Anish Giri. And this leads to kind of equalish positions, maybe slightly better for white after take. You spoil the structure. Black says, okay, I have the bishop here, which can get active. And also, I'm okay if my pawn structure is slightly ruined. But the modern way to play this is to take with the queen. This is risky chess because here, white can then later play knight c3 and hit the queen. Again, two options here. One is to castle and another is to play knight c3. Now, castling was seen in the game between Kuibakorov and Nihal Sarin. And here, Nihal had gone bishop e6, knight c3, queen h5, knight e5, short castle. And then later on, he had gone on to win this game. It's a kind of an equalish position. But knight c3 is more fighting, and you won't believe that there are two games here which are absolute classics. One is Alekhine versus Bogolyubov from 1914 that was played, and the second one is Tal versus Fischer from the 1962 candidates. So check is important. You have to move your king away, king f1. Queen e3 is actually playable here and can be tried actually. This is not been tried before, but can be an idea that white players should think of. I believe that there are a few correspondence games here, but king f1 was played. Check, king g1, and now the game between Tal and Fischer and also Alekhine Bogolyubov had continued with castles. And after d5, uh, Tal had got an advantage. Later on, Fischer managed to hold it. Also, Bogolyubov somehow managed to win this. But white is better here, clearly. I mean, Bogolyubov had gone rook d8 against Tal, and here, against Alekhine. And queen e1 was found by Alekhine, which is a classy move. And then bishop g4 was played in that game, and then bishop b3. So I mean, he was making all the best moves here. Queen f4, and now this is winning. I don't know how later he went on to lose, maybe through a blunder, but here white is clearly better. So Arjun comes up with a new idea here, with a novelty, and he plays the move bishop e6. This is clearly the most superior move in the position. Also, he has studied this well, and he's realized that at the right moment he can always long castle and get his rook into the game. Bishop b3, by the way, here is not good, because after queen b4 takes fe6, this position is preferable for black. Now you will see a recurring feature in this game is this rook on h1 being out of the play, and this is what gives black great position. Knight e5 was played, queen b4, a3. You can take twice here, by the way, take, and then play this, but again this is nothing, and black has a good position. If white had castled here and his rook was on f1, maybe white can claim a small edge, but not here. Queen b4, a3 was played, went back, knight, bishop c6, and I think here after take, knight takes. I don't think that Zhu Jiner thought that black could take with the queen, because pawn takes, and here white can claim that after knight a4, knight c5, she is better. But queen c6, and the subtle point of this is that d5 does not work. I would like you to pause the video and try to figure out what should black do here. So there are three possibilities here. One is rook d8, which fails to queen e1 or queen e2, just moving here, and you have to give up an exchange at the very least. You can also be more ambitious and start with rook d1 and then move the queen away, which is winning. You can also play queen d6, but that also loses to queen e2, pinning here. So the only move is to get the king out of here and also the rook here, which you can do with long castle. And this is better, I mean at least equal for black. You have to move your queen away, then move the bishop away, and you should be able to be fine here. So now Zhu Jiner realized d5 is not possible. She goes to h4, trying to fix the problem of her rook. But after long castle, h5 and bishop d5, you can already see that black has got a fine position out of the opening. The opening has worked out for Arjun, and now it's all about conversion, which is not easy because the position is not winning as such. It's better f3, queen f6, queen f2, bishop b3, stopping rook d1, attacking the d4 pawn. So rook h4 had to defend it from that side. Rook h e8, rook g4, queen h6, rook e1, and f5. Rook h4 was played, brought his bishop back. Okay, there was another possibility, by the way, after rook e1, that you could take here, but yeah, I mean, Arjun preferred to play f5, rook h4 and bishop f7. He is going after the h5 pawn, king h2. He took the pawn. He didn't see anything wrong with it. This is what looks like. Rook e8, rook e8, queen g3. Played his queen to g6. Nice move. Queen f4, queen f7, making way for the bishop to come back. Yes, black is making some uncomfortable moves, but that is the cost of one pawn. d5, bishop g6, d6, and now rook d8. Nice move. She took, queen takes, and when the smoke has cleared, black is a pawn up. But the position still requires very, very sort of careful handling. Knight e2 was played here, and the rook jumped in. Knight f4 takes on b2. Knight takes g6. H takes g6 was taken, and now rook h7. So when this position arose, it was move 37. They were closing in on the 40th move. Arjun had good enough time. Zhu Jiner was under some pressure. And here, I would like you to pause the video and figure out what would you do as black. So the right move here, either to start with king b8 takes, but the point is clear, you play rook b6, or you can start with rook b6 and after take you move your king away. And in this position, black should be able to win because you push your pawn here, you get your king up, maybe rook comes out, start pushing, and this structure is safe. Black is winning. But Arjun went king b6 and after takes king a5, he thought that he is way faster here by moving his king up. He's going to take this pawn and then his pawns start to roll. However, here is the moment where Zhu Jiner, it can be unfortunate. If she had like 50 minutes here, which happens after 40th move, she could have found this move, but unfortunately it was the 40th move. White to play here. What is the best move here? She played the move rook g5, which is a blunder. Rook f6 is the correct move. I'll tell you why, but after rook g5, once again, try to pause the video and figure out what should black do. The right move here and the only move to draw is f4. And black is winning now. Okay, let me explain to you what just happened. If you go rook f6, now I can't play f4 because you'll simply take it. Protecting the pawn with rook b5 makes no sense because the rook is in between your own pawns. So that is something you don't want. So the right move here would be, let's say, taking the pawn. You take on f5, I play b5, you play king h3. I play now a5, just for the sake of argument. I can also try rook c2, we'll come back to it. a5, g4, a4, g5, b4, g6, and white pawn is super quick, yeah? Rook here, because if you come here on c2, now g7, if you try to come back and stop the pawn, I have rook f8. So you go rook b8, king g2, here, 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 and draw is agreed. Because I have to go back, you have to go back, you have to check, and so on. The other move here after king h3 is, as we said, rook c2, trying to come back, but g4, king a4, because now you can't push the pawn. If you push the pawn, I go check and I win this, and you can't play a5 because b5 is hanging, so you need to waste time again. I push, 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 rook back, push, push, rook f6, threatening a6. If you play a5, rook b6 is already better for white, so you push b2, I play rook b6, and once again it's a draw after rook c6 take and rook g6. So here the move, you can see it's all hinging on one tempo, and after rook g5, f4, all the variations just work out for Arjun. Take here, b5, let's say king h3, he can't play g4, she can't play because it's pinned right now, but king h3, b4, g4, b3, rook here, rook a2, very good move, very smart move, because if you go here, and now if you play g5, b2, I'm just faster, a5, rook a1, queen. You see that one tempo actually made such a big difference in this entire game. And after take g6, Arjun went behind. Okay, there are other ways to play, but here's a small advice that you should remember. After f5, a4, f6, you put the rook behind the further advanced pawn. So black to play, what do? Rook f1, and you win, because he cannot push this pawn, he cannot push this pawn, he hangs here, and you get a lot of time to play king b3 and push your pawn. If he had gone g6 here, what do? Rook g1, and you go to check and mate. So in the game g6 was played, Arjun went here, f5 and rook g5, and he's picking up this pawn. Later he'll win this pawn, and he is winning. So just for the sake of clarity, if takes here, it might seem white is winning, but not really. You put your rook behind and check here. So also the king has to be here, not on a2 or b3 where there would be a check. All these things Arjun managed to calculate. And here after rook g5, Zhu Jiner had resigned. So Arjun went on to win this game. He is right now on 7 points, sorry, 8 points out of 9. Let me just take you to the standings so that you know exactly. There you have it, Arjun Erigaisi right at the top. He has a lead of massive 2 points, and it looks very likely that he'll win the challengers. He's playing amazing chess, and let's hope he keeps it going. This is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.